Good afternoon. I'm Noah Horn, and you're listening to BCIT's The Crow. Here are your afternoon news updates. People in BC are looking to travel more, and one of the most popular destinations, Cultus Lake, is seeing massive overcrowding, and residents don't know what to do. Reporter Mark Joang has more on the story.
As the weather is getting warmer, Cultus Lake has seen a spike in visitors. Although the crowds are good for business owners, residents are unhappy about the limited parking spaces and visitors not respecting the area. According to BC Parks, reservations from visitors for May long weekend has gone up by 60% compared to the previous year. Officials are looking for solutions to help with the issue. Mark Zhuang, BCIT News.
Virginia's health department now says it's monitoring a traveler who was on the Dutch cruise ship where several passengers have contracted the hantavirus. That makes 5 U.S. states that are monitoring former passengers. The ship is headed for the Canary Islands. ABC's Rena Roy has more.
Argentinian officials told the Associated Press that in mid-March, the 70-year-old Dutch man visited a landfill during a birdwatching tour in Argentina, and officials suspect he contracted it from rodents. On board, showing symptoms of fever, diarrhea, and a headache. They say he likely infected his wife, who also died, but not before boarding a plane in Johannesburg, South Africa, according to the World Health Organization. Dutch media are reporting that a flight attendant on the plane is now in the hospital in Holland with a suspected case and awaiting her test results.
Lions Bay Search and Rescue says 2 hikers were forced to spend a night in the wild experiencing full winter conditions during a 28-kilometer hike from Cypress Mountain to an area near Porto Cove yesterday. Meters of snow and low clouds prevented helicopters from reaching them. Rescuers eventually worked through the terrain to reach the hikers, where they were able to reach Lions Bay safely this morning. Residents in a Maple Ridge community are starting a petition to implement proper sidewalks and walkways in the Wannock neighborhood. Reporter Leslie Rose has more.
Residents are asking for 10-foot wide gravel walkways to be installed on 112th Avenue in the Wannock Lake area of Maple Ridge. The area is home to an elementary school, and children walk on what some residents describe as dangerous roads. Local school parent Deepa Besisar started the petition after noticing close calls with pedestrians almost getting struck by vehicles.
Yes, many near misses, but the last one was the last straw. Near misses with my 9 years old son.
Over 150 people have signed a petition so far. Leslie Rose, BCIT News.
A foreign national with no status in Canada has been arrested in Surrey over a shooting where a home was damaged by gunfire last month. The shooting is believed to be linked to the ongoing extortion in the city. Jaskaran Soroy has been charged with reckless discharging of a firearm and remains in police custody, with a court date next Tuesday. This weekend, Jane's Walk brought many people into residential streets across Metro Vancouver. In East Van, one walking tour focused on the boulevard gardens that help shape a neighborhood. Here's Raisin Velasco with more.
In Vancouver, the annual Jane's Walk brought people onto residential streets this weekend. The volunteer-led festival honors the legacy of urbanist Jane Jacobs and encouraged people to slow down. A total of 53 walks were listed across Metro Vancouver this year. One of them was led by Seba Formand, creator of East Van Boulevard Gardens, on Instagram.
People are saying it was the biggest Jane's Walk they've ever been to, so I shouldn't get so hung up on the amount of people who were there. We had 88 people.
Despite a few things that didn't go exactly as planned, Foreman says with nearly 90 people showing up and the sun holding out, it was hard to ask for a better day. Raisin Velasco, BCIT News.
You may have heard of PlayStation's 30-day license check-in. Recently, Sony changed the rule to a one-time verification only, but it still has gamers feeling uneasy. Bailey Pilgrim-Pahe has more.
If you game regularly, you may have noticed. Those who use PlayStations 4 and 5 are now required to complete a one-time license check-in for digital games purchased after March 2026. Jade Konecki from Game Deals Video Games in New Westminster says this new rule and Sony's lack of properly informing the public is disappointing but not surprising.
It's one of those situations where they don't want to say anything and then have more backlash.
She believes PlayStation fans are most likely still going to stick with their consoles, but that Sony should make a public apology or revert their licensing to how it was before. Bailey Pilgrim-Pahe, BCIT News.
Alberta's election agency says it believes more than 550 people accessed a voter list following a massive privacy breach involving a separatist group. A judge granted an injunction ordering the Centurion Project to pull the personal information of 2.9 million Albertans from its website. And new figures from Saskatchewan's electrical utilities show it will cost about $1 billion a year to extend the life of the province's coal plants. The numbers, released in a document leaked to the opposition NDP, show it will cost Sask Power $26 billion over 25 years until the province transitions to nuclear energy. Police are looking for a suspect after a 16-year-old girl was stabbed and killed in Calgary. The victim has been identified as Angeline Boucher. Police say it's believed the girl was involved in an altercation with her attacker Wednesday. Investigators say they believe the stabbing was not random and the weapon was disposed of in the area. The federal privacy watchdog says there have been more than 42,000 breaches at the Canada Revenue Agency since 2020 as a result of people gaining unauthorized access to taxpayer information. Privacy Commissioner Philip Dufresne found the agency couldn't provide details of every confirmed breach due to limitations in its tracking systems and the overall volume of incidents. And the Manitoba government is declaring a public health emergency over its rising numbers of HIV cases. The province says cases are consistently rising, with 328 detected in 2025 compared to 90 in 2019. Rates are at the highest in the southwest and northern parts of the province, with the largest number of cases diagnosed in Winnipeg. And sources say the Department of Justice is investigating $2.6 billion in oil trades related to the Iran war. ABC's Peter Charalambous has more.
The Department of Justice is investigating a series of suspiciously timed trades in the oil market, just ahead of major announcements by President Donald Trump and the top Iranian official about the war in Iran, sources told ABC News. The DOJ, along with the Commodities Futures Trading Commission, is probing at least 4 of these trades, where traders made a total of more than $2.6 billion, betting that oil prices would drop right before they did. The DOJ and CFTC have not commented on the trades. Peter Haralambous, ABC News, New York.
According to shipping data company Lloyd's List Intelligence, Iran has created a government agency to control and tax vessels passing through the Strait of Hormuz. The Iranian effort to formalize control over the channel is raising concerns about international shipping as hundreds of commercial ships remain bottled up in the Persian Gulf. And U.S. President Donald Trump is threatening to raise tariffs on Europe. ABC News White House correspondent Karen Travers has more.
After speaking with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen Thursday, President Trump is now threatening to raise tariffs on the EU if it doesn't fully ratify the trade agreement it reached with the U.S. last summer. The president said it in a social media post. He told von der Leyen he's giving her until July 4th, or else he'll increase tariffs on European products coming into the U.S. The president has already threatened to implement a new 25% tariff on cars and trucks imported from the EU, saying the trade bloc has not complied with the U.S. trade deal. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
3 months after the FBI raided Atlanta locations in a controversial probe into the 2020 election, a federal judge in Georgia says the Justice Department is not obligated to return the records to local officials. ABC's Brian Clark has more.
While acknowledging that the January seizure of Fulton County's 2020 election ballots was, quote, certainly not perfect, District Judge J.P. Bully held the federal government can keep those records. The Trump appointee ruled that Fulton County did not establish that its constitutional rights had been disregarded or that it faced irreparable harm if the records were not returned. The Justice Department says it's investigating irregularities in Fulton County, a heavily Democratic area in Georgia where the votes were counted 3 times and Joe Biden won each.
Those were your afternoon news updates. I'm Noah Horn, and you're listening to BCIT's The Crow.
everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Good afternoon. My name is Karamadil. Here are your latest sportscasts for 2:45. Stay tuned. The Carolina Hurricanes are looking to take a 3-0 series lead today as they face off against the Philadelphia Flyers. Puck drop is at 5 o'clock Pacific. Players to look out for both teams in tonight's Taylor Hall from the Hurricanes, who has 9 points in 6 games, and for the Flyers is defenseman Rasmus Ristolainen, who has 1 goal and 4 assists in 6 games for his Flyers. Athletes from Belarus have been restricted at Olympic competitions since 2022. They have been neutral athletes because of Belarus's support for Russia's invasion of Ukraine. These restrictions are ending. The International Olympic Committee says it's time as it navigates ever-increasing complex realities and conflicts and growing instability. The IOC is not changing the status of Russian athletes, but notes it has had constructive exchanges with the Russian Olympic Committee.
Athletes from Belarus have been restricted at Olympic competition since 2022. They have been neutral athletes because of Belarus's support for Russia's invasion of Ukraine. These restrictions are ending. The International Olympic Committee says it's time as it navigates ever-increasing complex realities and conflicts and growing instability. The IOC is not changing the status of Russian athletes, but notes it has had constructive exchanges with the Russian Olympic Committee.
There is new hope for Whitecaps fans in Vancouver after Jobs and Economic Growth Minister Ravi Kahlon revealed a potential bid that could keep the team in the city. There were rumors that the soccer club could be playing in Las Vegas. March Madness tournaments will expand to 76 games each starting next season. The NCAA will expand its March Madness tournaments by 8 teams each next season. It will add more early round games in the first week without altering the overall format. The new 76-team brackets for men and women will feature 12 games involving 24 teams. The winners will join the main 64-team bracket starting Thursday for men and Friday for women. Most new slots are expected to go to Power Conference teams. Good news for the Toronto Blue Jays as Addison Barger will slot back into the lineup after missing 24 games due to a left ankle sprain. He was placed on the 10-day injured list exactly a month today on April 7th. Canucks forward Max Zassin will represent his country, Team USA, after putting up 19 points in just 66 games this past season for his respective NHL team, the Canucks. It will take place March 15th to March 31st in Switzerland. Arsenal will face off against Paris Saint-Germain in the finals in the Champions League finals after PSG had defeated Bayern Munich yesterday in penalties. This is Arsenal's first visit in over 20 years. The Montreal Canadiens are looking to get back into their winning ways after falling short in round 2 and game 1 of the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs against the Buffalo Sabres by a score of 4-2. Montreal captain Nick Suzuki and Kirby Dach with the lone goals for Montreal. Game 2 is underway tomorrow at 4 o'clock in Buffalo. The Anaheim Ducks are looking to head home with the tied-up series at 1 against the Las Vegas Golden Knights, and they do just that, as Anaheim came up strong with the 3-1 victory, with goals coming from Beckett Seneca, Leo Carlson, and Jansen Harkins. Game 3 is underway tomorrow at the Honda Center in Anaheim. Puck drop is at 6:30. Norris nominees. The Norris Trophy is awarded to the best defenseman in the regular season in the NHL, and this year's runners are Rasmus Dahlin of the Buffalo Sabres, who was a huge major impact to get the Buffalo Sabres to get back into the playoffs for the first time since 2007 season. Second runner is Cale Makar of the Colorado Avalanche, who had won it twice. First time was in 2021-22 season. And second one was the 2024-2025 season. Our final nominee is Zach Werenski of the Columbus Blue Jackets. Dallas Mavericks minority owner Mark Cuban is investing in Canadian men's pro basketball. The American billionaire entrepreneur has purchased an ownership stake in the Canadian elite basketball leagues. That's it for my sportscast at 2:40. My name is Karamadil. Thank you for listening to BCIT's The Crow.
everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane.